Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. In today's video, I believe it's 3 really easy DIYs to share with you. These are things that I am making for my front porch to decorate for Christmas, although they don't all necessarily have to be used only outside, but that's what I'm making them for. So let's get started. So for this first one, this isn't the greatest camera angle, but it was a big piece and I wanted to be able to help you see it. So it is called just a DIY sign. So yeah, we're going to cut off the tag or the handle here rather. You could leave that on if you want to hang it up, but we are going to paint it. Now I am using Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson, and this took quite a few coats, probably 4 coats. But after the first coat, I realized that using a sponge brush worked much better, so I would definitely recommend that. I did only paint one side. I do end up covering the back with this brown craft paper that I'm actually working on, but I don't end up showing that to you, so you can kind of make that decision, obviously, based on how you want to handle it. And yeah, so we're going to get that until it's nice and good coverage, but I'm not going to show you all of those steps. And then I'm also showing you, I took this lightweight spackling and filled in the holes and then painted over them. So you may or may not need to do that. If you're going to hang it up, you won't need to. And then I have these letters from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using my ruler just to try to make sure they're somewhat centered. I was trying to make it really easy to show you guys, but I was having a hard time. So I turned it around here, and I'm doing the best I can, and we are just going to put the letters on. I'll also say that I started from the bottom because I wanted to take up as much space at the bottom, knowing that I could easily fill in the top if I needed to. But spelling backwards when you're doing stuff like this, I don't think I left it in there because it took me a while to put all the letters on, but I actually spelled Christmas wrong and had to take a letter out because I kept trying to do it backwards in my head. I do know how to spell Christmas, but when I was doing it like this, I messed up. Anyway, so I'm just going to put on all of the letters up the center on this one, and then I'm going to take some smaller letter stickers that I had, and we're going to write Mary across the top, still underneath the snowflake, but obviously you're going to do this with whatever you want. You can use your Cricut, you can use window clings, you can use anything you want. You can put words, pictures, but this is what I chose to do. And then I decided to just take a piece of black paper that I had and with a glue stick attach that to the back just to kind of make that snowflake pop. I almost used a buffalo plaid pattern. I was kind of going with the black and red obviously, but I'm going to use a bow in a little bit and I just thought it would be too much up at the top. So I just went with black, and then I'm taking this Mod Podge and we're going to coat the whole thing. We want to make sure the stickers stay down and just give it, I am using this outside, so I figured it would also help give it a little bit of protection. Most of the stuff I put out on my porch does not last very long, whether I make it or buy it, just because my porch gets so much sun all year round, which I know I'm not complaining about that. It's a great problem to have, but needless to say, things get faded and worn pretty quick. So that's one of the reasons I really like to make stuff, because I know that it may only last a year or two. Plus, it's fun to just make it and switch it up. And then I am just hot gluing on one of these little plaid bows that I picked up from the Dollar Tree up in the corner, and that is going to do it. I know the lighting isn't super great. Well, it kind of is. It's really bright outside. You're going to see it in just a second here. But I wanted to show it to you outside. My porch is not fully decorated, so I'm not showing you everything put together, but I'll just be leaning this up somewhere on my porch. And lots of shadows, but what can I say? Sunny day. All right, moving on to the next one. I have these wreath hangers from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to try to bend off this top part. And sorry that one wasn't totally in frame. So this works out pretty easy. What you do is bend it down first, and then I'm bending it back out, trying to flatten it. And then once let's see, I tried to leave a lot of this in here just so I could show you how I did it. Okay, so then I'm bending it up, and that seemed to have a lot of resistance, but when I bent it back down again, it actually just kind of broke off. It was pretty easy. So this is not hard to do at all. I did try to sand down the edges, but it's metal, so it's a little bit rough. And I'm going to show you this one again just because I think I got this in camera a little bit better, but it's not hard. This is not sped up at all, so you can see it really doesn't take long to do this. And we're going to do that on 2 of them because we are going to make a little sleigh, and these are going to be the runners for the sleigh. I have this little bucket that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to paint it in some Waverly chalk paint in the color white. So I am going to tell you what to do differently. Give this a coat of Mod Podge first. It will help the paint stick better, and I knew that and totally forgot. So I definitely recommend that. I painted the inside and the outside, and I did a few coats. You could also spray paint it. That might work better. There were a few learning curves on this. Sometimes when I'm in the middle of a project, my brain leaves me, and then when I get done, I'm like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? So I get to tell you the things that I would do differently. So give a coat of Mod Podge, let it dry, then begin painting with the white paint. Sorry for the lighting. When I was doing these DIYs, I had my blinds closed, but sun kept peeking in, and anyways, it got darker, lighter. I'm going to paint these little cutouts. I've got a Let It Snow, and I'm going to do a couple snowflakes too in the color Crimson from Waverly Chalk Paint. And I shared this in my last video. For these little cutouts, when there's all of these little pieces, I find that a stencil brush works best, even if I go over it a few times to make sure it has full coverage. But that way you don't get any globs of paint in between all the little crevices on these. This just works best from what I have found. So just something to think about. You could also stencil the sleigh, but we're going to just attach these on. So we're going to give these a coat of paint. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That is a very easy way to help support my channel, and of course costs you nothing, but it does help me out a lot. Also, say hello in the comments. Leaving comments also helps me out as well. So now that everything is painted, we are going to attach this. I had issues here. I'm using super glue. I don't like using super glue. This stuff is messy, and I had some issues with it. I ended up going in with some wood glue. It came out quick here, so I was like, oh, let me just hurry up and put it down, but then it wasn't on all of the edges, so it didn't work. And okay, use whatever adhesive you would like. You could use hot glue, you could use wood glue, you could use crazy glue. I have not picked it up yet, I don't think, but the Dollar Tree does carry a gel super glue, which I think would be better because it wouldn't run all over the place. So here you can see I'm going in with some wood glue. I like that because it dries clear, but this was a pain in the butt. Then, if you can see at the very bottom of the snowflake here, there is a chunk of paint missing by the snowflake, and that is because I super glued my finger to the sleigh, and when I pulled it up, it pulled off the paint. So, don't do that. I end up going in and touching that up. I put a layer of Mod Podge to kind of seal down the edges of the paint, and then I went back over with some chalk paint. So I patched it up, but that was a struggle. You can see I literally have paint super glued to my hand. So we finally got them attached. That was a little bit of a labor of love, but that was just because I had glue issues. Now we're going to attach the sleigh to the runner, and I am choosing to use some mounting tape, super glue mounting tape. This stuff is permanent, so just be sure of where you're putting it. I've never used it before, but I thought with the metal and the plastic and outdoors, I just wanted something really good. So I'm using these mini clamps just to pinpoint where I needed to put the tape down. So this was just something I had on hand, so I was just kind of marking where I wanted to put the tape, and then we're going to roll the tape out. And it's double-sided, so just going to attach it with one side, then we'll peel off the top, and then attach the sled. Or sleigh. It's a sleigh. This is a sleigh, not a sled. Sled is something you go down the hill on when it's snowy, and a sleigh is something you do with a one-horse open sleigh, right? Okay. Sorry, guys. I think I've been working on this a little too long, and I'm starting to lose my mind. I don't know if I had to leave all of this in, but you wanted to show you how it worked. Just made sure everything was in place because I knew that once it was attached, that was it. There was going to be no going back. But that did work really well, and I'm filling mine with some ornaments. I might add in some greenery. Once again, not fully done outside, but I wanted to show you how I would be using it. Last but not least, we're going to do a mat. I have done doormats many times. This time, I am going to also show you my struggles, trying to get it centered here, and then we're going to paint it, use some paint. I'm just using Waverly chalk paint. I never have issues with using that or even just acrylic paint. Doormats don't last forever anyway because they're out in the elements and all of that, but I never have problems with the paint coming off. So my problem with this, you're using a stencil brush, you've got to dab it on. It looks like there's plenty of paint, but it's not getting in the stencil. So part of the problem with this one, I think, was that the stencil, a lot of the stencil had really narrow lettering and it just wasn't working. I tried a couple of paint brushes, and the other problem, it's always hard on a matte because it's textured, but this one is not all one layer like those different colored lines. You can see that does not look good. But they're raised parts. So we're flipping it over. We're going to try it on the other side with my Merry Christmas stencil, which is a nicer stencil, and this worked much better. So I would just, I don't know, next time I'm going to look for a mat at the Dollar Tree that does not have the different layers. It's not like raised in any part. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but I've also done this with those like really stiff bristly mats as well, and you can do it. It comes out great. You just have to be patient, and you do have to use lots of paint, but you also don't want to let it, because it has to like get into the fibers of the mat, but you also don't want it to bleed on your stencil. But I've done it many times. Okay, that worked. So now we're going to go in with some white paint, and we're going to do snowflakes all over, and in the end, this ended up coming out really, really cute. But it's $1, so I figure try something, and if it doesn't work, you're only out $1. And if it works, then you've got something really great. So that's what I did, and I did know that I had a larger mat to layer this with, because these ones are pretty small from the Dollar Tree, but layering mats is kind of like in anyway, so I just went with it. If you are new, I would love it if you would consider subscribing before you leave, and make sure your notification bell is turned on so you don't miss out on my future videos. And here it is. This is how it came out. Again, sorry kind of for the lighting, but I just layered it over mat I picked up from Aldi. Alright, well that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That helps me out so much. It helps my channel grow. Giving it a thumbs up, commenting below, subscribing if you haven't already done that. All of those things help my channel grow and supports my channel and costs you absolutely nothing. So I would love it if you would help me out in those ways. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.